Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Thursday, October 3rd, 2024. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First card we are starting our day off with today is we're starting our first 2 cards. We've got here our 2 of Wands in combination with our 7 of Cups. Beautiful energy right now, because they're saying that on the other side of this eclipse right now, new possibilities, new communication, perseverance, opportunity. A lot of this work right now, and I need to stress this. This is why it is so important right now to stay in a positive focus and a positive vibration. We've been getting this energy the last few days. This is Jubilee energy. What do I mean by Jubilee energy? Jubilee energy, it's also you can also call it harvest energy to a certain extent. It's a lot of that exuberance. There's a lot coming at us at once, right? And the ability to navigate through that without feeling energetically exhausted and overwhelmed. I know it feels very difficult, right? Because the way we navigate that, it can feel like there's just one thing on top of another, on top of another, on top of another, right? And so that ability, what happens? What happens in those spaces or places where you feel like there's a lot happening at once? The energetic lesson is not to allow oneself to feel overwhelmed, not to allow oneself to get lost in the energetic current. This is the same lesson that we've been learning since we came out of that Piscean full moon that we experienced prior to the eclipse cycle starting. Now, a lot of that is taking new approaches to navigating and managing the energetic flow, right? How do we do that? We take a perspective. We take a step back. And we see even now that a lot of that energy doing that, you may be feeling right now that there's a lot of things that are moving forward, and instead of following that rush, you feel yourself slowing down. You feel yourself being more methodical, right? Because this is giving a lot of that energy of measuring twice and cutting once, right? Taking that slower approach, not allowing oneself to feel energetically overwhelmed. Almost going into that state of saying if you're feeling overwhelmed, you move twice as slow, right? That ability of doing that to a certain extent, we see even now. There's a lot of that energy that is working upon the facilitation of planning, the facilitation and necessity of healthy preparation. So in those modalities, when you have a lot of those demands that are coming towards you, and instead of just kind of like, again, trying to grab at everything and feeling like you're overextending yourself, almost moving things down, slowing them down, right? Like, and I want to say like it's giving me a little bit of this like lineup energy, as it were, right? A lot of that fastidiousness in terms of creating balance at a time of energetic excess. So that's a lot of that Libra energy that we see is occurring right now. It can feel very overwhelming. And for a lot of, and I have to say this again, for the energy in separation and the energy right now deep within divine union, very similar experiences that we see are happening right now. We've got a lot of that full circle that's happening as a result of this eclipse. A lot of that balance point right now is happening for the energy that is struggling or coming into divine union at this time, because that modality, that's either leading to a lot of energy that is moving deeper into divine union at this time. And even here, there's something that we're seeing that could be feeling somewhat energetically disorienting, right? Creating that sense of vertigo, because there's a lot of this energy that is feeling that swiftness, something that's happening quickly. But again, that is that inevitability of the rush, right? That's the inevitability of seeing everything that opens up, right? Because if these are energetic connections that thought that coming into divine union was an ending, was a closure point, the delightful surprise on the other side of that is that modality of experiencing that sense or that space of recognizing that that's where everything begins, right? This is the energy that may have been feeling, oh, I thought that Coming into Divine Union was a book that closes instead of the book that opens. So we see even now, this is a lot of the energy that's moving into Divine Union navigating that space of place of recognizing and identifying where their work begins. So this is a lot of that energy moving into those new manifestation cycles along the way, right? While for mass, but that's why we see even now, and this is why this energy right now is so exhaustive. And I feel like, again, a lot of the energy in separation right now and a lot of the energy in divine union are navigating all of the intensity that's happening right now for the energy trying to come into divine union. Because I just keep seeing that there is some energy right now that is on the outskirts of coming into divine union. And the best way I can describe it is trepidation at the door. There's some energy right now that's experiencing that trepidation at the door, seeing the full expanse, recognizing the full changes that are required in order to facilitate into a connection. And it's overwhelming, right? It's creating that sense of anxiety. It's creating that sense of pause. And so we see even now, I can see even now it's so difficult for some of the energy in that space as I see one half of the counterpart potentially on the other side of the door saying, I'm ready. Like, what are you doing? Let's step through it. If there's some kind of energy here that's pulling away at that moment, like that's what feels like I'm seeing even now. Like that's the energy that, again, is feeling the anxiety point of making those changes, right? So we see even now, and I have to stress this, the beauty that's happening, at least for the energy experiencing that, is the observation of recognizing that that isn't something that is being generated within the self. This isn't the energy that is feeling hard on themselves if they're observing someone that has too much trepidation in taking that leap of faith or taking that leap forward into divine union. This is the energy that effectively says this is an energy that is too afraid to step through, that's the energy that doesn't see that robustness of possibility, but is allowing the anxiety and fear to overwhelm them and blind them to the possibility. Third card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here 2 cards center of our deck today. Look at this. This is what we're talking about right now. We've got here our Knight of Wands in its upright, in combination with our Knight of Cups in its reversal. This is the balance point of the Libra eclipse that we effectively see is coming through right now. And it's coming through in a big way for the energy trying to come into divine union. We see even now, this is either that moment, it's all about the bravery here, right? It's all about that leap of faith, taking that sense of excitement, and whether that, and this is the thing that we see that's so important right now. This is why the energy on the one side of that is not trying to encourage someone through it. Because this is the energy that recognizes that you don't want to drag someone into a manifestation goal. Because the difference between feeling like you're making changes for someone versus making changes because you're excited for the direction that you're headed, that makes all the difference. Right? That shapes the experience. That changes the context through which something is happening. And so this is why we see even now, like that is the energy saying, I will do anything for love, but I won't do that. Because that is the energy saying, I want you to do that from a place of harmony, from a place of joy. Because if you don't come towards it willingly, you'll always feel like you lost something. You'll always feel like you surrendered something instead of receiving something, right? So we see even now, like that is a lot of the gift that the energy experiencing that volatility right now of someone that may not necessarily have the courage to step into that the depth of that unity. Like that is the energy that, again, the gift that's happening here is this is not the energy that is beating themselves up over that. They're not saying to themselves, why is this happening? This is the energy that's reaffirming to themselves and saying, you have to be fearless in the face of love. You have to be confident. You have to allow yourself to kind of take that leap of faith. And that's the energy that says, I want you to take that leap of faith because you desire to take it. Not feeling like you're doing it for doing something that you don't desire to do for the benefit of preserving something at any and all cost, right? So we see even now like a lot of that vetting that we're identifying here, That's a lot of that work that I recognize and identify is occurring there, because this is the energetic equivalent of assessing whether that feels like that is something that is moving forward, or if that is someone that is trying to keep something in the space that it is on the cusp of coming into divine union, because of the anxiety and fear of return, of moving deeper into it. Now, masculine and feminine energy but bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, both coming into divine union right now. No, both be deep within divine union and the energy and separation. A lot of this is just I want to say a lot of this energy right now is like, I want to say there's a lot of shifting that's happening right now for the energy deep within divine union and the energy and separation. And a lot of it has to do, I want to say, like, and this has to do with, I told you, so much of that fastidiousness that we were identifying and recognizing was occurring over the last few days. The fact that everybody has been very highly sensitive because of this eclipse energy. Either the energy gets it or they don't, right? And so that sensitivity, right? That ability of being mindful and not taking something energetically personally. I just see even now, this could be leading to some energetic volatility, as it were, in relationality to energetic connections. And that is being completely focused and built upon how to, like, navigating and recognizing what feels like it is foundational, what feels like it is progressing, what feels like it is built upon and based upon the recognition of wanting to work together, as opposed to energetic connections that feel like they're more built upon the over-concentration of one's own personal emotionality. I even see this here. There's some of the, I even see some energy right now in separation and deep within divine union, articulating frustration towards energetic connections where it feels like someone takes something too personally to such an extent that it creates an impossibility point in communicating, right? Because that's the difficulty. This is why we have to work so hard on balancing these aspects of ourself. Because when our emotional self is too volatile, when there's too much emotionality within the self, over emotionality blocks communication, right? So there's a lot of conversation I'm potentially seeing right now and potentially around. And I want everyone, this is why I'm telling you even now, I don't want you to get triggered today. I don't want you to be reactive. I want you to be educational, because I see even now like a lot of energy. And again, both deep within divine union and in separation, almost saying to someone, when you get overly emotional, it's impossible to communicate to you. Because when you're overly emotional, you're not necessarily thinking clearly. You're thinking more about the emotionality of the self and that ability to regulate through that, to be able not to take something energetically personally. We see even now, this is more of that feeling of trying to create that Libra energy of clearing blockages, right? The emotions that become a blockage that prevent healthy communication. So this is something that maybe that potentially is being navigated right now. And it's difficult, right? Because I see even now that's either, and this is the delicacy of Libra energy. The problem is with this intensification of the timing on this, it's like something that would be like easy to navigate. It feels like it's like, again, the scale is so highly taught right now. It's so, what's the word when the scale is like really like a really, really perfect scale, that like even the slightest thing feels like it knocks everything off a kilter, right? So even now, like that hypersensitivity, I can almost see someone, either if you're good in navigating this flow, you're going to kind of look around and be like, what's gotten into everybody, right? Like what's gotten into everybody? If you're not connected to it, right? But if you are, then like at least energetically, you're like, oh, it's the eclipse. It's the eclipse in Libra, right? And I can even see someone being like, what are you talking about? Like even that creating volatility. Next two cards in our 5-card spread before we start getting clarification on these cards right now. Clarification coming through with our 8 of Cups in its upright, in combination with our King of Cups in its reversal. This this baby, our baby doll here, this card has been coming up in its reversal a lot right now. How are we doing, masculine energy? Bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. There's a lot of emotionality here. There's a lot of emotionality that's occurring right now. But I have to stress this. I want to point this out. This emotionality for the masculine energy that's doing the work, it's potentially feeling really cathartic. You know, I have to stress this. As long as you are, and I know I sound like a broken record when I say this, as long as you are articulating through your emotionality instead of reacting to it right now, you know, I see even now there could be a lot of catharsis and healing that's coming through. I even see some masculine energy unpacking, I want to say deep within divine union and also in separation right now. Because again, I'm telling you, these eclipses bring all the lessons full circle. Like almost like seeing like healing with some masculine energy wounds in terms of saying to someone, you know, I can't talk to you. Like I can't talk to you because you refuse to acknowledge that you have emotionality. Like I see a lot of masculine energy right now. I told you this is why there is not so much concentration right now on partnership for some of the masculine energy right now, both deep within divine union and also in separation. Because I feel like there's like, and this could even be like some father wound energy here, you know, like almost some energy here of saying like, you know, it's really hard to talk to you about things because you're not opening up about your emotionality. You got a wall here, right? What's happening for the energy right now coming into divine union? There's some energy right now trying to come into divine union saying, if you can't acknowledge where the work is, if we can't talk about something because you refuse to acknowledge that it's there's nothing that we can work on, right? So we see even now like this, I told you that the thing about these eclipse seasons is the lessons, they move through across all of the frequencies all at the same time. Like sometimes it takes a few days or weeks to come through. Right now, they're all kind of hitting at the same moment, which is why everybody's so meh, you know? So I see even here that like navigating those spaces and places with a sense of compassion, like not necessarily, and I see even now, and again, this is some of the masculine energy taking a page from the feminine's book, which is the masculine saying, I'm not going to match this. I'm not going to give someone a taste of their own medicine, because I almost see some masculine energy and separation in both in divine union saying, when we give each other a taste of one's own medicine, all we do is poison each other from within, right? Because that's what we mean when we say, I'll give them a taste of their own medicine. That's poison, right? So this is the energy saying, why am I going to do that? This is the energy saying, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to articulate through it. I'm going to try to walk through it. I'm going to try to show someone something for the hope that they might be able to recognize and unpack why they may be taking that energetic approach. So I see even now, like the beauty of this is there's a lot of the masculine energy, you know, it's thankless. But the energy saying again, like this is the more of the masculine saying, you know, sometimes the most important work is the thankless work because it's the work that feels like it's most valuable. Feminine energy right now, I see feminine doing this to a certain extent too. Feminine may be doing this both in separation right now and deep within divine union in terms of, I don't want to say this is more the feminine holding some very firm boundaries. I just see a lot of feminine energy right now that's kind of coming into that modality of, and if these were spaces or places where feminine energy would have been more accommodating towards masculine energy, that was in a space of emotional overwhelm and being like, oh, you know, they just like give them a little bit, like give them a little bit of room, you know how they are, and the feminine being like, no, that's not how we energetically fix something. Giving someone, this is the energy recognizing, coming into a deeper sense of healing, that's saying that when we make an accommodation for someone, what we're really saying is, we don't want to tell them that there's something that they haven't learned. Right? Like this is a lot of that energy that may be feeling that sense of being like, no, we're not going to go shh when someone hasn't learned something. We're going to show it to them for the hope that they can recognize it, right? So we see even now that this is a lot of the feminine energy coming into that, like I want to say that tough love approach, which is saying like don't nurture what isn't healthy for the fear of upsetting someone in the process of showing them that they need to grow. Because that's how you foster it. That's how you expand upon it, right? So we see even now like a little bit of that feminine energy coming more into a point of resiliency. Both of these energies working really hard, and this is where that fairness comes in, because the Libra energy, and this is what I'm going to keep saying, the difference between I am in my rights to versus saying I know what's right, right? Like I am in my rights to versus saying I know what's right. So we see even now, like a lot of that patience that is being implemented there is the calibration between like having that moment of ferocity and then just allowing it to dial back to a certain extent. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union. This is where everything is hovering right now. Because I see even now that for so much of that energy, working through, facilitating upon those changes, one of the things that we're recognizing and identifying is there's a lot of this energy here that I'm just seeing is facilitating and working through that energetic process, wherein this is the energy that is literally weighing. This is either the energy that's elevating into divine union with an acknowledgement point of something not being perfect, but that sense or that space of saying it's okay if it's not perfect, we're going to work on it together. Like that is the energy that is moving into a deepening part of vulnerability. And there's uncertainty there because I see a lot of the energy saying, I've never come this far with someone before, right? That's where the work begins. But if these are situations where someone is too trepidatious, where that overwhelm feels like it's too expansive, then that's that modality, that the healing that's coming through on this is I see that a lot of that energy isn't trying to force someone into a manifestation if they're not ready for it. This is the energy that almost says you either have to come joyfully or you can't come at all, because that's the difference between entering into a manifestation goal that feels like you're sharing and inhabiting the same reality in the process of experiencing it versus feeling like you're inhabiting two realities where one person feels like they're meeting their manifestation goals and the other person feels like they're relinquishing them. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Two of Wands in combination with our Seven of Cups in its upright. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Eight of Swords in its upright. So masculine and feminine energy right now that is deep within, and I have to say what's amazing right now that we're seeing is the energy deep within divine union, and a lot of the energy in separation right now, same exact messages coming through. This is very positive because this says that a lot of the energy right now in separation is very much on their way to moving towards manifestation goals, potentially in relationality to counterpart energy. And I know even now a lot of energy in separation saying to me, hey, Gray, there's nothing happening right now. And I'm saying, isn't like you can't potentially see there may be a lot of things happening around you because your focus is not on what it is you're trying to manifest because you've released those manifestation goals. So we see even now that there's a lot of the energy right now. There's a lot happening, but you can't see it because your hands are full. So like I told you, this is giving a little bit of like the watch pot that doesn't boil. You're turning your attention to something. You're going, I couldn't care less. I see a lot of the energy right now going, I am so busy. I could not care less about energetic union right now. What's happening for the energy deep within divine union? The energy deep within divine union is standing on the ship of their relationship. They're not putting attention towards the relationship itself because the relationship is creating stability. Do you recognize how these energies right now are inhabiting the same energetic perspective? They're in the same space. So this is the energy that's not trying, they're being. So a lot of the energy right now in separation is in the modality of being in the modality that they would be in divine union, but they're not, because they're not putting attention towards the concentration of coming into divine union because they're so busy and they've got their hands full with something else. And once that happens, look what's coming along. And so even here, I want to say right now, there are some periods of time we go through where just maintaining stability is enough. We're having one of those weeks. Sometimes when during like solar eclipses and things like that, just maintaining stability, I want you to give yourself a little round of applause because it's intense. And I think that you're probably even recognizing that there may be energy around you that isn't navigating it as well, right? So if you're in that space of navigating it well, I want you to give yourself like a real congratulatory modality here. And again, if the energy around you is acting whack, let that serve as further amplification that you yourself are doing a lot of work in maintaining that energetic balance come what may. Energy coming into divine union right now This is the energy that is having breakthroughs, and the breakthroughs that are either coming in right now for the energy coming into divine union is recognizing the limitations of the past experience. I just keep seeing that there's either two modalities right now coming into divine union. This is the energy that has entered the doorway together. And in entering that doorway, it's once they're on the other side that they look back and they go, I can see what those limitations were. I can see how that energy I was trying to do that with was not ready. I could see how I was not ready, right? And that's going to depend, like that's going to differ depending on each person's individual journey. But this is the energy that only sees that and has that breakthrough once they step through the door, because it's once you step through the door that everything, your perspective changes or your perspective shifts, right? So this is the energy that may be feeling, wow, I thought that this was going to be a limitation moment, but instead this is where everything begins, because they're both moving towards that manifestation goal together. Masculine and feminine energy that is on the outskirts or on the cusp of this. There could be a lot of this argumentation point right now that I'm seeing, and potentially someone trying to say, let's just hold on. Let's just maintain the status quo just a little bit longer. Let's just, this is the sweet spot. Everything's going to go downhill from here. And I see someone almost saying, what are you talking about? This isn't the sweet spot. This isn't even the start. The sweet spot's over there. Because what we're starting to have right now is an argumentation in relationality to manifestation goals. So if one person's trying to slow down the process, right? Like holding on to something, and the other person saying, come on, we need to move forward. This is the energy that's almost articulating and saying like this, like being on the outskirts of something is their manifestation goal. Right? And so that's why we see even now there may be a moment of a lot of conversations of someone saying there's a limitation to your love, right? Because if someone feels like their manifestation goal, their ideal scenario is being on the outskirts of coming into divine union, right? Like that bittersweet, like back and forth energy, right? Like this is the energy that says like, you know, and that's where we see a lot of that disparity here, because I'm seeing even now those conversations of saying we've got everything here and someone saying we've got nothing here. One person saying this is perfect and the other one saying this is painful, right? So we see even now that that's a little bit of that volatility that may be created right now in the observation of the conversation about what one's true manifestation goals are. Now, continuing to get clarification on this between our Seven of Cups in its upright in combination with our Knight of Cups in its reversal and our Knight of Wands in its upright. All right, one card to clarify. Oh, Devil card in its reversal. And so even now, I'm going to tell you, we're going to be talking a lot about the energy on the cusp of coming into divine union right now, because there's a lot of volatility here. And I'm even getting the message of someone articulating to someone and saying one man's trash is another man's treasure. Like one person, like literally someone who looks towards divine union and this is why it's so important to make sure that you have the same manifestation goals. Because if you look towards divine union as an ending point, like as a stagnation moment, like that's almost the energy looking towards the divine union and saying, I'm afraid of that. I fear divine union. That's where everything ends, right? Versus the energy that says, I recognize that that's where everything begins. You can't change someone's opinion on that, right? You can't change someone's opinion on that. You have to be energetically ready to inhabit that reality, because whatever you believe will come to be, right? So we see even now, this is why the energy right now, and I have to say the beauty that we're seeing here is this is not energy that is trying to force that rose. This is not the energy trying to like sell someone on the positivity points of coming into energetic union. This is the energy that's recognizing and saying if you drag someone into it, they're always going to look at it like a prison. If they move into it joyfully, they'll always look at it as a garden, right? Because one's own ability of inhabiting and enjoying one's manifestation goal, that is the embodiment of one's own sense of self. And this is why we see even now, like a lot of energy, if they see someone that's vacillating, or they see someone that's showing fear in moving towards something, you're like, dude, do you think this is a haunted house? I don't want you to go into it if you're terrified. You know what I mean? Like, this is the energy saying like, this should be a positivity point. And so we see even now, like that's why we see even now, like so much of this could be moving into some of this energy here could be stepping away from someone at this time. And I need to stress this. This is not energy stepping away from someone going, you better change your mind or else. Like there isn't an ultimatum here. This is that sign of energetic regret and saying, I don't want to force you into a space if you don't want to do it willingly. If you're dragging, like this is the energy saying, if you're dragging your feet into something that others would dance into, this is the energy that says you will like you are articulating that this isn't a joyous occasion. This should not feel like a dirge. This should feel like a celebration, right? So this is a lot of the energy saying, are you experiencing this like a dirge, or are you experiencing this like a ditty? like, are you dancing to this, or are you feeling this like this heaviness in relationality to what you're experiencing right now? So we see even here that for so much of that work, like that modality of identifying and recognizing that, having that point of joy or experiencing that point of sadness, this is the energy that is healing right now, because it's coming into that space of divine union by saying only through which we mutually desire will all of our desires come into fruition. Because we see even now, like that is the point of energetic healing. It is all the amplification of choice. Everything is about choice. So we see even now the beauty that's happening for a lot of the energy coming into divine union right now is that observational point in the recognition and the value and the importance and the significance of choice. This is either the energy that is moving into divine union at this time, and they're feeling that moment of celebration, even at a point of deep vulnerability, or these are potentially energies that are stepping away and saying, I recognize that you don't necessarily want to be in divine union. You like to hover on the outskirts of it because that step into it feels like a bridge too far. And if you feel like it is a bridge too far, there's energy that just wants to hang around the cusp of divine union. Like there's energy that hangs by the shore. You know what I mean? Like there's energy that navigates in those spaces. And this is the energy saying it's okay to want the things that you want, but you have to acknowledge it. You have to be accountable for it. Right? So we see even now that there's a lot of these difficult conversations that are potentially occurring in that space, all based upon someone saying, what is it that you desire? Right? Masculine and feminine, both deep within divine union and in separation right now. I'm just seeing that so much of this energy and so much of this work. This is the energy that is trying to do something in a very healing way. And I can see even now that for the energy, the only difference that I'm seeing here right now is that for the energy deep within divine union, the energy deep within divine union has their hands full. And they're trying to navigate interpersonal relationships along the way. Either energy that's making things easier or making things harder in the process of trying to get a lot done, right? And so I see even now, like this is the energy being like, are you here to be helpful or are you here just to cause issues? Like I can see a little bit of that energy here. Like if you're going to be, like it's giving me a little bit of this energy, like if you're going to be in a kitchen, pick up a spoon or get out of the way. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of that kind of energy for the energy deep within divine union. The energy in separation, I feel like there's a lot of this energy here that in the process of trying to navigate situations, there's a lot of new energetic connections that are forming. And the timing feels like it could not be like I see the energy being like the timing is wild, but then a little bit of the energy in the separation point saying, but maybe it's exactly the right time for that reason, right? Because these are the energies that are coming towards one another with a place of deep authenticity. There's no room or space for artifice. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Knight of Wands in its upright, our Knight of Cups in its reversal, and our Eight of Cups in its upright. Can I have one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through right now. Oh gosh, 3 cards, really? All right, fine. 3. It's all right. It's the influx. It's the influx after the eclipse. Oh look, more knights. All the knights are coming out today. All right, we've got the Knight of Pentacles. Help is on the way. We got the Knight of Pentacles. We've got the Hierophant in its reversal. And we've got the Ace of Wands in its reversal. How's everybody doing in separation right now? Because this is a lot of energy. This is a lot of energy in separation. It is having a different impact on masculine and feminine energy. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Everybody just takes some, like, Okay, so let me, what's going on here? All right, let's start here. Okay, let's start here with the energy deep within divine union, because that's going to be the easiest to read for here. For the energy deep within divine union, this is this is more of what we're seeing. Like, this is really I see a lot of hard conversations in relationality, conversations as to what feels like it's productive. Like, adaptability is productivity right now, is what I'm seeing. And I see even now that there's a little bit of this energy about having to take a different tactic to things right now. It's requiring unconventional approaches. And I see even now that some of the issues that are happening have to do with having to take unconventional approaches to navigate situations, and energy being real sticks in the mud in the process. This is going to be harder for earth sign energy this week, because the earth sign, even now the earth sign energy is like, no, a lot of that, the earth sign energy is like, we do not change the plan. We do not change the plan. And I see that there's this energy in the air of lots of plans that need to be changed right now. So I see even now there's a lot of that, there's a lot of that modality, and this is because of the Libra eclipse, right? Working through adaptability points, being energetically flexible, the bow that bends does not break, while is also being very energetically rigid in the spaces that matter, right? That's what we mean with being the bow that bends that does not break, because the bow that does not break means that you have adaptability in all things except for the places that you are inflexible on, right? So we see even now that one of the reasons that this post-eclipse in Libra is so difficult is it's cutting to the heart of what feels like it is malleable and shiftable versus what feels like it is integral. And so we see even now a little bit of those disparity points here. And the problem with this is there's also the emotionality of the feelings of the Piscean full moon that we just had. So adding to that, I see a lot of energy right now talking about things that are integral, and on the way, the slippage point of emotionality. And someone saying almost, I didn't know you felt that way. I didn't realize that. Thank you for letting me know. There's a lot of this, there's an emotional efflusion point that's almost happening here. They're giving me the dam slipping, where it's that ability of making a modification, the emotionality that's revealed in the process of doing that, right? This is cathartic. This is productive, but it's messy. It's messy. It's messy, right? Some things are productive, but they're messy. So this is productive, but messy energy, right? Now, for the energy in separation, I just see that for a lot of that energy in separation right now, who are all these people? Who are all these people? For masculine here, this is masculine having to do a lot of heavy lifting for other masculine energy right now. This is giving me a little bit of this energy of masculine, going it's really hard to be to be the energetic lifting point for a lot of masculine energy that's not in the same space, right? Because for a lot of the masculine energy here, it feels like you're the stick in the mud. If this is the masculine energy that's coming into openness about one's own emotionality, it may be feeling you're the person that's the one out of place, and a lot of that is because, you are the expression of the change by which you're taking those approaches. So whenever you're in that modality, it feels really hard because it almost feels like a bunch of masculine energy that's I recognize I have to be apologetic for a lot of the masculine energy that hasn't done the work that I've had to do, I've done. And I even taking accountability for those spaces and places in the past, in the process, right? So there's a lot of this work here that I'm seeing. And some of it, I gotta say, some of this is masculine energy and separation, having I want to say rough conversations with the insensitivity point of some masculine energy around them. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. I told you, relationships, even for energy and separation right now, furthest thing from the mind. But even in the process of this, I see even now a lot of that masculine energy coming into a sense of deep healing, because it feels to me there's a little bit of this masculine energy that's coming into that space of a rallying cry and trying to say guys, we have to change something here. I'm changing it in me. You guys have to change it too. Like, um, well, for feminine energy right now, I just see feminine energy with a lot of masculine energy around them right now. And I see feminine being like, everybody get it. Like, why are you all here? Like feminine, like it's giving me a lot of the feminine, much like the energy of feminine deep within divine union, which is get out of the kitchen, either pick up a spoon or get out of the way kind of energy, which is why even now, like this is feminine looking for very pragmatic masculine energy right now, because feminine's feeling overwhelmed and feminine is tired of carrying an energetic burden for masculine. So feminine's like literally in a space right now in separation saying, if you're going to be a part of the problem instead of the solution, get out of my way. The energy right now coming into divine union, I mean, this is massive. This is massive. I see a lot of energy. I need to say this. I see a lot of energy right now coming into divine union. And it's a recognition of being able, like I see even now the energy saying, I've never done this before. I don't know what I'm doing. But as long as you're here with me to do it, I'm willing to do the work. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. Usually when you're doing work like this, it's going to feel really messy. You know, it's going to feel like it's a messy process, right? But the beauty of the energy coming into divine union is the energy saying, I would gladly get messy with you, right? Like that's the energy saying, it's our mess now. While for masculine and feminine energy, like this is what's so frustrating, because I see even now there may be some energy that's acknowledging the difference between someone that desires divine union and someone that wants to hover on the outskirts of it, which is like always on the cusp of coming into divine union, having those rare moments of joy, but always building into that sense of an anticipation or expectation, right? Like this is the energy saying like, and this is why I see even now someone saying like, why would we mess up perfect? And another person, the counterpart, saying like, and this is the difference between someone saying this is perfect versus someone saying this is painful, because the observation point of what the manifestation goal is becoming clear right now. Clarification becoming, and here the benefit is this is not energy that's overly blaming themselves that they're experiencing it. It's just observing and saying, I think you like almost coming into union instead of being in union. Like that's a thing, right? Continuing to get clarification between our Eight of Cups in its upright and our King of Cups in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with Queen of Pentacles in its reversal. And this is why I'm seeing even now, this could be a lot of argumentation that's happening right now for some of the energy that's hovering on the outskirts of coming into divine union, because I keep hearing masculine, some masculine in that modality, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, saying we could have everything. And I can hear the feminine saying, this isn't anything, right? Like this is the argumentation point that's potentially happening here. You know, and so for some of this here, I'm even seeing, and some of it is reversed. I will say this is the energy potentially of masculine saying we could have everything, or feminine saying, you know, like this could be these could be interchangeable right now, is what I'm seeing. But that is the cross conversation that's happening right now for the energy that is hovering on the outskirts of divine union. Like, why ruin a good thing? This isn't anything. Like, why ruin a good thing? This is where the work begins. Like that sense of, again, the difference between what feels like it is a surfeit, you know, like hanging by the shore, versus the energy saying there's nothing here, right? Like this is that argumentation point in relationality to ideal and destination. So a lot of volatility that's potentially happening right now, because some of the energy is potentially looking towards someone and saying, do we actually have the same manifestation goals? Or are you trying to hold on to the sweet spot? Is this your manifestation? Do you think this is energetically perfect? Right? So that is, there's a lot of clarity that's coming through here. And this could be leading to some energy stepping back into separation and saying, I don't find that this is ideal. I find this is painful. Right? Now for masculine and feminine energy, deep within divine union right now and in separation, there's also an interchangeability that's happening right now for those energetic frequencies, because I see even now, look at these two. These are the energies in separation, and this is masculine going, I'm not ready for love. I'm dealing with too much emotions. And this is feminine saying, I am not ready for love. I'm too busy for love. These two are right for each other. They're ready for each other. Like, do you see this? Do you see how ready and right for each other these two are? Like they're right next to each other. you know? But they're both in a space of processing. They're not necessarily communicating with each other because they're both in a space where they're concentrating on the self right now. So there's a lot of that work that's happening here, and they may be encountering one another, you know? This is giving me a little like, I'll catch you in a moment. You've caught me at a bad time. But these are the energies that are observing and looking towards one another and saying like, that's a really, you know, that they seem really honest, right? This is feminine looking at masculine, potentially being like, they were really honest about how they felt. This is masculine saying, she seems really busy. But she also seems like she's really like she's spinning a lot of plates. Remember, we were talking about the energy right now deep within divine union, spinning a lot of plates, right? So we see even now that these energies, and so that for the energy right now deep within divine union, I just see that for a lot of the energy deep within divine union right now, this is navigating energetic connections that are not handling the intensity like in the same way, right? So I see even now, and I can hear some rough conversations that are potentially happening right now for the energy deep within divine union, which is almost saying to someone, don't, like, do not subject me to your emotions, like articulate through them. Do not become energetically volatile. Like this is feminine almost holding their ground and saying to the masculine, I would prefer if you don't speak to me that way. Like I see like a lot of feminine energy having to be like very articulating and saying, I'm not going to soften the blow. I don't know if anyone else, I feel like I see feminine deep within divine union being like some masculine being like, I don't know if the others around you let you, like, don't bother to tell you, but that's not okay. Like I see a lot of the feminine coming into that corrective space right now. Right. And a lot of it feels like it's nurturing because that's the feminine saying, I don't want to give you the false illusion that something is okay by being polite, right? And this is masculine potentially coming towards feminine and articulating and saying to a certain extent, nothing I do energetically pleases you. Like I see even now like some masculine doing some unpacking and being like, make sure that you're prescriptive in what it is that you desire because I can't provide to you unless you know what it is that you want, right? So I see even now that there's a little bit of this, like I told you, frustration in navigating interpersonal relationships upon like some of those moments, not being reactive, but almost like articulating how one feels, the efflusiveness that allows for a breakthrough. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Eight of Swords in its upright and our Devil card in its reversal. One card to clarify. Clarification coming through right now with the Emperor and its reversal. And I will say the one thing that's happening right now, and this is the Libra, I don't think this is necessarily a bad thing. This is the Libra energy combined with the eclipse. There's like a little bit of this energy here of like cut off. Like there's a little bit of this energy here that I'm seeing that feels like healthy cut off. Like I'm not taking this. Like I'm not tolerating this type of energy. But I need to say this. This is not the type of energy that is being reactive in the ability of saying that. This is the energy that's calling the difference between what feels like it's productive versus what feels like it is coddling. Like coddling is really the word for it. Like I see even now, this is what I mean by it being a compassionate expression of tough love, and especially from the point of view of the feminine, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, because this is a lot of the energy that's almost saying like, like this is the feminine energy saying like, listen, like no, don't tell them that that's okay. Don't give them that false impression. Don't give them that illusion that is something that they can experience, because that's the energy saying when you coddle someone, you limit them. Right? When you say, oh, just give them a pass on that, what you're really saying is it's not worth your time, right? So that's almost the energy saying, I'm going to give you the most beautiful act of compassion by calling you out on your nonsense. Because if I'm the only person that's willing to call you out on the nonsense, that's because I'm not doing it because I know you'll like it. I'm doing it because I energetically care about you. So this is a lot of that Queen of Swords energy rising to the surface here of the feminine saying like, I know like this is, I'm not like my kindness allows those moments that I have to be energetically fierce, because that is the ferocity of holding one's ground, but also saying, I am holding my standards, because in the holding of my standards, I require you to recognize and raise yours in the process, right? That's the energy that does that from a point of deep compassion. While for feminine energy right now, and there's some volatility here, there's definitely some volatility that I'm seeing, but this is almost the energy. I can see the energy being like, don't take it personally, because it's not personal. Like that's the energy going, it's not personal, it's compassionate, right? And I see even now that for a lot of the masculine energy, I feel like a lot of the masculine energy is doing the same exact thing right now, deep within divine union. I feel like a lot of the masculine energy, I have to say, this is masculine and feminine right now, deep within divine union, same alignment of work right now. Alignment of work, which is pretty impressive, because this is the energy that I told you, these energies have been doing things in different ways right now. Not today. Not today. Not today. This is the energy taking the same exact tactic. This is the energy in complete alignment and relationality to navigating those circumstances. And that's why I see even now the counterparts being like, do you approve? And the energy being like, like, kind of like, So for masculine and feminine separation right now, this is where we start to see a little bit of this confluence and disparity in the lessons. Because I see even now, masculine right now, I feel like there's a lot of masculine that's healing, that is feeling really, really frustrated towards other masculine energy right now. And again, masculine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. If you're frustrated, that's good, because it's saying to me that you recognize that you're embodying a change that you hope to see in those around you, right? And again, one of the big problems, one of the challenges we're seeing for some of the masculine energy on the brink of this, is that when you spearhead something, it often feels like you're alone. So if you're feeling alone right now, I want you to remember that's what unifies you. You're not alone in that journey. There are many others like you. But again, often when you're in that space, you're surrounded by a bunch of energy that's not like, it feels very isolating. It's the nature of the work to a certain extent. So again, embody, be the change that you want to see, and recognize that even in the process of being the change that you want to see, it often can create disparity. It can often create feelings or spaces of isolation, right? Because sometimes being the voice of sometimes being the voice of reason requires you to become a soloist, right? So like hold yourself into that mentality right now. Like allow that to be your solo. And I see even now like a lot of masculine energy, maybe even building into conversations with feminine in that way, like a point of understanding. But I even see the masculine being like, I'm not trying to pander to you. Like I see a lot of the masculine energy saying, I really hope you don't think I'm pandering. And a lot of feminine being like, I don't think you're pandering, But there's new trust that's being built for some of these energetic connections. Feminine is just overwhelmed. There is so much new energy around feminine and separation right now. It really is like I see feminine energy yelling at people to get out of her kitchen. Like feminine energy and separation, I just keep hearing feminine yelling at people to get out of their kitchen, and either pick up a spoon, pick up a broom, be effective, be useful, be doing something, or get out of the way. And there's a little bit of that energy here. So, like again, it's allowing for the energy of positivity, so long as it's the energy that's coming towards them. Like, state your business. What are you doing here? Okay, good. Yes. I would love help with that. Sure. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Devil card in its reversal. This is a lot right now. Ace of Wands in its reversal, Hierophant in its reversal, Knight of Pentacles in its upright. I know, it's a lot. We're in post-eclipse. It's going to be very effusive. One card to clarify, please. Oh, boy. Clarification coming through right now with... Hold on a minute. Clarification coming through right now with our Six of Wands in its reversal, because everybody's feeling really sensitive right now and nobody feels appreciated. Nobody feels appreciated for the work that they're doing. It's a lot of this like energy right now of like feeling like that sense of self-sacrificing to a certain extent. And I have to stress this even now, for the energy coming into divine union, and we're going to talk about this for a minute. this is why, like, this is the energy right now that feels like they're coming into divine union. And it's hard work, right? This is the energy right now. I told you, I see even now a lot of masculine energy coming into divine union and looking towards feminine and being extremely vulnerable in the process. Feminine too. Like, these are the energies that, they feel like they're taking risks. They feel like they haven't been this vulnerable with one another before. They're not sure what the future holds, right? All they know, right? All they know is what they're working on. All they know is that the energy is saying to one another, like, we're going to take unconventional approaches to try to heal. And we're doing that. We're even stepping out of our own comfort zone for the sake of the energetic connection. These are energies that have moved into divine union because they're recognizing that the divine union is forged not just when things are easy, but when things are difficult. That modality of really facing those energetically challenges with one another and looking towards the other and saying, there's no one else I would prefer to be doing this work with than you. That is the energy that moves into the divine union, because that's not the energy that moves in and goes, everything was perfect and we lived happily ever after. This is the energy that said, we committed on making things perfect. And that's where the work began. Now, for some of the energy right now, and this is why I see some potential separations that are occurring here. If these are modalities where someone stepped through that portal and is like, take my hand, let's go through. And someone's going, what's wrong with right here? Well, maybe we're being too hasty. Maybe we need to slow things down. I don't know if that's something we should, like, maybe we should reconsider. Maybe we thought too quickly. This is the energy that recognizes, and this is something that's hard to navigate. Some energy likes to live on the shoreline. Some energy likes to live on the cusp of the divine union. Some energy believes that living on the cusp of the divine union is the sweet spot, right? And so we see even now that for so much of that energy navigating that, the observational point, this is why this energy right now is so taut. This is why with the Libra adding to it, that gift of being able to see something one can't see. This is the energy that's getting clarity on one another's manifestation goals, particularly if these are a moment where there's an expansion point that's allowing for that deepening of the energetic connection, but suddenly someone pauses and says, why are we going to ruin perfect? In the moment that someone says, why would we ruin perfect? This is the energy going, you don't think coming into divine union is the manifestation goal. You think the cusp of it is the sweet spot, right? So we see even now, like that struggle point, there may be some energy stepping out and back into separation by saying, I recognize that you're someone who likes to be on the shore of the divine union. You're someone who likes to dip their toe in, but you're not ready to fully invest into it, right? The ability to be in the divine union requires the maintenance of it. It requires that ability. I'm sorry, hold on a minute. I don't know what that was. Apologies. It was beautiful. So that ability of recognizing that, that is almost allowing for that clarification point that is now allowing for some healthy karmic closure in relationality to accepting the reality of what you can, like what feels like a point of joy versus someone feeling like they're being dragged into it. And this is the energy going, I'm not going to force you into a space that you don't consider a joyful space. I want you to, it's all amplified on how you navigate that choice. Continuing to get clarification here between our Knight of Pentacles in its upright, that was really funny, our Hierophant in its reversal, and our Ace of Wands in its reversal, and our Queen of Pentacles in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our World card in its upright. So what we're really seeing right now that is really valuable and important, and I have to stress this, because either we're seeing that massive elevation of the energy coming into divine union right now, both experiencing the same reality, that messiness, but that intentionality on bringing order into the messiness, doing that work together. That is the application of the energy coming into divine union. Or this is energy that is getting the clarity in relationality to what another individual's version of perfect is. Right? Like this is the energy that's just observing that. And in that modality, right? healthy karmic closure in those experiences and in those expressions. Because if these are situations where someone's saying, I just don't know why we're messing with perfection, and someone else is saying, this is not perfection, this is painful, then these are the energies that suddenly realize the segmentation in relationality to the manifestation goals as it relates to what perfect is. And it all is based upon whether there's the acceptance of the reality and recognition of what needs to change in order to facilitate that pathwork going forward. So I see even now there may be some separations that are occurring here, but I appreciate this because the energy that's identifying it, you know, it's creating dharma, it's creating positivity, it's creating a healthy lesson instead of an unhealed karmic connection. And that's potentially the energy saying, you know, we can say we want a lot of things, but our actions articulate what it is we truly desire. So if there's a lot of this energy here that's like moving into that and being like, okay, now this is the next step, and someone being like, and being like, what are you doing? Like, that's the recognition point of someone saying, this is my perfect. Another person being like, this is not mine. I imagine this is where we must depart, because we're effectively articulating and saying that moving forward from this point would have one of us move away from what we consider ideal, right? Masculine and feminine right now, deep within divine union. This is the energy, I have to say, like the energy deep within divine union right now. Like, I see a lot of that energy being like putting forth in a way, like masculine is putting something forth that's difficult for others to receive, but putting it forth anyway. Feminine is pulling back on something that someone demands and doing so anyway, because these are the energies that are moving from a place of compassion. And they're saying to themselves along in the process that ability of, again, when there's an overwhelm and you control the energetic flow of it, this is the energy saying the difference between what feels like going with the flow versus saying this is what I'm energetically comfortable with. And so this is a lot of the energy that is remembering and recognizing that healthy energetic connections are ones that prioritize each's comfort above all things, right? And even in that modality of comfort, this is the energy that says that in the facilitation of compassion, sometimes the healthy energy would prefer to have a moment of discomfiture, right? Because that is the hard truth as opposed to the easy lie, right? So we see even now like a lot of that clarity coming through. And in doing so, this is the energy that immediately brings order into what feels like a circumstance that is overwhelming. Now for the energy in separation right now, I tell you right now, I know a lot of this energy right now is in separation saying absolutely not. I know I'm not looking for anything. Look at feminine being like, I am not available. Nope. And here's masculine. Here's masculine coming towards feminine saying, do you need some energetic help? Right? This is the energy here. You know, this is the masculine almost coming towards some feminine and saying, you know, I would like to offer something. Like, look at these two energies here. One is in lack, one wants to give. Masculine in the modality of being in a space of being very open emotionally right now, right? Very authentically the self. Feminine feeling overtasked, not having time for artifice. These are the energetic encounters that are happening right now where the energy is very, very deeply authentic in the process, because honestly, there's no room right now for them to be able to be in any version but such, right? And this is, again, the beginning of new energetic cycles. Continuing to get clarification here between our Emperor in its reversal in combination with our Six of Wands in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Moon card. Very interesting. We've got that new moon energy here, right? So we see even now, like, and I have to stress, this is saying to me that the beauty of this energetic moon card is actually clarity, right? Because we've got here the world and we've got here the moon. So this is the clarity that sometimes being able to read between the lines, being able to see the context of something, a lot of that dark moon energy, right? The ability, the ability of the dark moon or the new moon is a process of letting go, but it's in the act of energetically letting go that you're able to receive and experience, right? So what do we see that's happening right now? There's a lot of energy that is letting go of things. And in the process of letting go, they're able to see things with a heightened degree of clarity, right? So even here, This is a lot of the masculine energy bringing forth a hard truth, potentially towards other masculine energy deep within divine union, right? And for feminine, this is a lot of the feminine almost articulating to masculine and saying, like, I'm going to show you something that may be hard for you to see, but is because I care about you, right? So we see even now, like, a lot of that ability of doing so. This is like that. This is the flashlight energy. Like, this is the energy shining a light, if you will. And so we see even now that the ability of navigating those situations, it may require you to read between the lines. But when you're able to read between the lines and you're bringing clarity to something, you see everything you need to see, right? So I see even now like a little bit of that energy being like, okay, good. I've seen everything I need to see. I get it. And that's helping to recognize the connections that feel like they're building from a point of positivity versus a deepening understanding on what isn't working. Masculine and feminine energy in separation right now. I just see even now a lot of this energy really focused on being a light right now. I just see it even now. There's so much of that energy in separation that's almost experiencing that feeling of darkness. But what happens in those modalities where we feel that heavy energy and we refuse to allow ourselves to embody it? We become the light. So I see even now that for a lot of that energy, this is a lot of energy that's like walking around going, I'm my own flashlight. I'm my own flashlight. I'm not going to match the energy around me. I'm going to be the energetic light. So we see even now that for a lot of that energy doing that work, these are the flashlights like shining to each other in the darkness, right? Look for the helpers. Look for the helpers, as it were. Now, for the energy right now coming into divine union, this is where most of that intensity is occurring, because I'm seeing even now that for so much of that energy coming into divine union right now, this is either a massive elevation process. This is the energy potentially saying to one another, I've never reached this level with someone before. I've never done this much work. And this is the energy that's, again, holding each other's hand and saying, you're not alone. I'm with you. We're going to do it together. And that is the energetic commitment. It is the sense of recognizing and not feeling like that work is singular. It's plural. Now I see even now, there may be some energy that was getting close to divine union that's falling back into separation here. Because if these are modalities where someone wants to come into that expansion point, is articulating what needs to be worked on, and someone saying, I don't see anything there at all, and someone saying, I want you to come forward and do this work with me so that we can move deeper into something, and someone being like, why are you trying to energetically change something that's perfect? This is a lot of the gift that the energies of the counterpart is seeing, not internalizing and saying, why can't I get clarity here? This is the energy that says the clarity is the truth. This is the energy that's learning to read between the lines and learning that sometimes when someone is not in a space of being able to articulate upon what they desire, we have to interpret what they mean by how they move, right? So we see even now that for some of that energy, I can see a lot of this energy potentially stepping away from someone and saying, your actions are speaking louder than your words, or there is an incongruity between what your words are saying and your actions. And it's in that incongruity that separation occurs, because that is the energy that says, I no longer can trust what you say will match what you do in the process, right? So that segmentation part that's happening, this is the energy that's potentially saying and recognizing and even saying, I think we're in different places, via the inability to recognize what one sees versus what the other is experiencing. Continuing to get clarification, and that's painful, but recognizing that it's occurring instead of overly internalizing and saying, what is going on? What is happening? That is how we heal and move away from situations without building an unhealed karmic connection, because that's where we put the healing on, because that's the observation of the lesson that allows us to move forward. Continuation points between our Seven of Wands and its reversal in combination with our World card in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Six of Pentacles in its upright. It's heavy, right? Like, this is more of that energy. Look for the helpers, as it were. Because we see even now, like, and I need to stress this, the bigger question that's happening right now for the energy deep within divine union is the shape that help is, right? I need to stress this right now. Like, and I think even now, like what's happening for a lot of the energy deep within divine union is this is the energy that may be feeling like they're trying to bring help towards something, but saying it's difficult because the person or the situation I'm bringing it towards doesn't see it as help, right? Like that's often what occurs in modalities where we're trying to have breakthroughs, right? Sometimes we have to get someone out of their comfort zone in order to help them facilitate and recognize an aspect or situation about the self, right? So we see even now, like there's a lot of that energy saying, I know that this is difficult work and I know that I might be underappreciated in doing it, but I know in my heart that the intentions there are energetically best, right? That's a lot of that energy that doesn't look for outside affirmation in relationality to how they move. They look towards one another for reassurance to make sure that they're on the right path, right? So this is the energy that looks towards one another, articulates their intentions, and then says, do you feel like I'm in alignment with that? And if the energy says, yes, absolutely, then that's the energy saying, well, that's enough for me. It's good to know that I'm not alone in that journey, right? And that's how the energy builds catharsis in those moments. Now, masculine and feminine in separation right now, I'm telling you even now, there's a lot of energy being like, your timing couldn't be worse, like new energetic connections that are happening now, but they're coming through the facilitation of help. This is a lot of new energy that's coming towards one another and saying, and the recognition of wanting to give forth is the clarification between what feels like it's a positive energetic connection versus anything in the past that may have felt like it was more demanding, right? There's a lot of generosity that's coming through right now for the energy in separation, because this is the energy that feels overtasked. So the biggest gift or the benefit is someone saying, how can I energetically help you? Because in that modality of saying, how can I help you? It's someone saying, I have empathy for other people. And I see that, and I recognize that what I need is also what others require in the process. Energy coming into divine union right now. This is the energy feeling not alone in that work. This is the energy saying there's not a me problem. There's an us problem. And it's in that modality of taking something, admitting to it, making that committed effort to both say, we're going to work on that going forward. This is the energy that doesn't say this is your fault or my fault. This is the energy saying if it's not working, it's our fault. And this is the energy that's committing towards one another, making those changes necessary to move in harmony with one another. That is the energetic commitment of the divine union. So we see even now, like that is that elevation point. Well, again, if these are modalities right now where someone's saying now is the time to give forward and go forward, and one person saying no, 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 that's going to move into a place that's uncomfortable. I don't see the reason. I don't know why you're bringing it up. I don't see what you're saying here. This is that moment where we could see some energy coming back into separation, but the healing is coming through in terms of recognizing and saying to oneself, I think we've got different manifestation goals. I think that potentially the status quo we're at, hanging on the outskirts of the divine union, is your ideal, as opposed to moving into that deepening of the energetic connection. So there's a lot of that energy right now, ascertaining and discerning the difference between someone who feels like they've reached a sweet spot and they don't want to change anything, versus the energy saying, no, this is not the sweet spot. This is just the beginning. This is where we're supposed to begin. This is not the ending. This is not where we're supposed to stop. So even here, that clarification is giving clarity as to what feels like it can be fixed, or what it feels like it has to be accepted as the reality. And so we see even now, this could be a separation point back into separation as a result of the disparity on the manifestation goal. Continuing here, final card for today's spread between the Moon card and our Six of Pentacles in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our queen. I was waiting for her to show up. She's been all over this reading. I was even brought her up before she showed up. We got our Queen of Swords here. Look at this energy right now. And a lot of it, I got to say, a lot of energy right now, a lot of shifts that are happening. Feminine energy right now. Tough love. Like that's a lot of the energy right now of working through that space of tough love, which is again, like a lot of that energy of the feminine saying, I see even now, feminine's navigating masculine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. This is a lot of the feminine energy saying, I'm being strong for you. This is a lot of the feminine energy even saying, like, I'm sorry that you didn't have a stronger feminine around prior to this to give you this type of understanding. Because I see even now, this is the feminine feeling frustrated if they're encountering masculine energy that doesn't feel like there's anything wrong with coming through in those spaces or places of just reacting emotionally, but not controlling the emotions, which often leads to desire to control things instead of controlling within the self. This is the feminine energy saying, I will begin that process with you. I'm sorry that you didn't have the strong feminine energy there before you to help you become your most dynamic version of self. Because that's the thing that the feminine sees. That's the feminine who sees the masculine as modality, and they see child energy. They see child energy. They see masculine that is not learned to move out of the child mentality because they've been energetically nurtured by feminine to feel that something they were doing was inappropriate, was acceptable. This is a feminine saying, I will now mother you. I will now come into that space of showing you. I will be strong enough to help you become your best version of self. But it starts with me saying and articulating that you can't have everything that you want, right? Like, you can't have everything that you want. And for the masculine energy, like the masculine energy that's also healing right now, what's wild about this is the masculine energy saying the same exact thing. This is the masculine energy saying potentially like the same exact thing to other masculine energy in the process, right? Because the masculine here that's healing is the masculine that is nurturing. So this is the masculine that's almost saying again to other energy saying, I'm sorry if you thought that being masculine didn't mean that you had to have feelings. I'm sorry someone told you. I'm sorry that you lived with some kind of artifice that made you feel that in order to become masculine, you had to abandon the part of you that loves, that feels, that has emotional compassion. And so we see even now, like this is a lot of that energy deep within divine union, committing themselves into that pathwork of progress. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is, in separation, I see even now, look at these energies. Look at this combination here. Look at these two. Masculine, hard on their sleeve. Feminine, hard energetic standards. This is like fire and ice meeting right now. This is that energetic equivalent of, again, this is the feminine looking at masculine, being like, look at how, and masculine feeling like they're being over emotional, and feminine being like, look how strong they are in navigating their emotions. Masculine looking at feminine that's, holding up strong boundaries and saying, look how strong she is in terms of determining and being like in her own modality. Like, look at that energy of strength and perseverance. So these are the new energetic connections that even now recognize each other in the darkness. Now, for the energy coming into divine union right now, this is the breakthrough point. This is either the energy that says, I've never come this far with someone, but I'm ready to do it with you. I don't know what the future holds, but whatever it is, I'm here for it with you because I'd rather make those changes. I'd rather face that come what may with you. That is the energetic commitment here. And so we see even now that that's masculine and feminine coming in that modality of being able to do that work. And for masculine, it feels like an act of profound vulnerability. For feminine, it feels like an act of profound strength. Whereas again, this may be a separation point for some energy that got close to divine union. And it's all about whether that movement into a deepening of an energetic connection, identifying what needs to change. If these are energies that there's argumentation there, someone insisting and saying, nothing is wrong. Why are you making problems where problems don't exist? This is almost the energy of, again, recognizing that sometimes manifestation goals, when someone says, why are you trying to change? Why are you trying to change something that doesn't need to change? They're saying, why are you trying to change perfect? Which is someone saying, this is my manifestation goal. This is exactly what I desire it to be. So that ability of recognizing that, this is the energy that almost says, like, your actions speak louder than your words. You may say that you desire something, but your actions are showing that you desire something very different. And so this is the energy that's potentially walking away from something in that modality. But there's clarity in that, in recognition. For feminine, it's a moment of profound strength to do so. Because this is a feminine saying, you need to want the things that I want, or it'll always feel like you gave up things for me. Right? And for masculine, this is masculine saying to feminine, I need you to be brave enough to make those energetic changes. And I need you to be able to come into that point of strength, because if you aren't able to do that from a point of strength, if it feels too over emotional, if it creates that volatility, then it doesn't feel so much like something that you desire, so much as something that you're making you know, you're making, you're making, you know, like, again, it's all about saying, like, are you moving into this with a point of joy or with a point of concession? And all of it is the amplification of choice. And for a lot of this energy right now, you know, a lot of this work that we're seeing in this period is being energetically strong. You know, and I think that that's the hard part about it. Because even now, like, a lot of this here, it's not just feeling the energy around you, but it's being very firm in relationality in the process, in relationality to how you feel versus your manifestation goals. So we see even now, like, that navigation point, it's all in the space between the emotional and the tangible right now. Bottom of the deck on this reading for today is, look, are any of us surprised? Are any of us surprised? We've got the Justice card in its reversal. So again, so the thing about this, the expansion point of the eclipse in Libra season is that everybody is really, really keyed up in relationality to balance right now. Things that would typically be fine may be feeling energetically overwhelming right now. Something that would not typically bother you may drive you absolutely batty right now, because that hyper, like, you want to like, they're like the scales that are set on high tension, right? When scales are set on high tension, then the slightest deviation can make it feel like the scales come into like heavy overwhelm, because this is fastidious energy. So we see even now, like, that heightened sensitivity here. There's a lot of energy that may be feeling like they're splitting hairs, but it's not a question about splitting hairs so much as it's about what's important to split hairs about. You know, if something is important and vital, then it's totally okay to be fastidious over it. And so we see even now that a little bit of that work here is happening across all of the frequencies. Everybody is working really hard in terms of keeping and maintaining balance. And actually what's hard about this, ironically, is when the Libra energy is so keyed up, it feels harder to maintain balance, because it feels like anything, like the slightest breath, the slightest breathe, the slightest drop of a hat could like affect those energetic scales. So be mindful of that right now. Be compassionate. Don't let yourself get triggered. Remember the difference. Please remember the difference between saying to oneself, I have a right to, versus I know what's right. The differentiation between those two words right now is going to make all the difference. I have a right to is probably not going to be helpful right now if the energy around you is doing something that isn't right. I know what's right means you don't care what the energy around you is doing. You conduct yourself accordingly to your own integrity. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, gracestrega.com. My private readings are done over video, and if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber name at the point of payment. Please keep in mind, when you book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you would like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. Also, a couple of updates before we move into the private readings for personal readings for today. First and foremost, my friends, we are continuing our tarot studies next Thursday at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. Our next delve into the tarot will be focused on the Lover's card, just in time for Libra season. I read the astrology of the tarot a bit differently than others. I associate Libra and the Lovers together, so I'm very excited to be teaching this card. We're also going into the second cycle in the tarot, which I'm really happy to unpack for you. And all you need to do, if you would like a ticket into that class, is head over to my Substack and become a paid subscriber. Your paid subscription to my Substack is your ticket to our class program. It also grants you access not only to the live class each month, but also to the full repository of classes and course materials from our previous classes. So if you join right now, you've got about 6 hours worth of material you can catch up on at your leisure. I will also be giving brief recaps on all of those classes as we continue forward in our live classes. So no need to catch it all before next week. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything that we're learning. And if you become a founding member to my Substack, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, but you will also receive a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me, wherein I will assess where you are on your own personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage going forward. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's certainly something there for everyone. So I want to thank you if you're just joining us there for the first time, and I look forward to seeing you at our next class. But even, and also, most importantly, if you are a subscriber here on my TikTok, head over to the subscriber-only Discord channel that you have access to for being a subscriber, and you will find a special coupon code there to give you a further discount in purchasing those class packages. Even if you don't become a subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there to be able to find out about any of my new offerings. I post the daily collective read there with a photo of the spread each day if you would like to see the cards. I also post my newsletter there weekly, which will let you know about my in-person events and my live schedule. You'll also be notified as to our giveaway winners. Speaking of giveaways, we have pulled the winner for our September giveaway. Congratulations. I will be notifying you over Substack this week. And we are now in the process of having our October giveaway. If you would like to win a free tarot reading with me, all you need to do is head over to the link tree in my bio. There is a 2-minute travel survey there. Filling out that travel survey will grant you an entry into the giveaway. But if you would like to increase your chances of winning, I would like you to forward that survey to a friend, because when I pull the winner to the survey, not only will I be giving a free reading to the person that wins, but also to the individual who referred them. So I want to thank you so much if you've already entered, and I wish you the best of luck of winning this month. Finally, I want to let you know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship courses, which are individualized courses and classes that are focused on whatever area of personal growth or spiritual study you are most invested in learning about. I take a very limited number of students for this reason. These can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series. That is 4 45-minute classes, 1 per week or bi-weekly according to your schedule. Also, for my clients that are seeking more consistent weekly or bi-weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to be offering weekly tarot insight packages, which is a discounted rate on 4 30-minute readings so that you can stay more consistent on your own personal journey. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again